there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny, sometimes, Santa Cruz, California. In fact, today we had sun, we had rain, we had wind, we had it all. It didn't stop people from coming out though, did it?
No, we had a grip of people.
I thought I was going to see rainbows everywhere on my way over
We were
tonight.
packed. Hey everyone, this is Liza. Joining me in the studio, back in the hot seat, mounting the board, it's Stumpy John.
Hey, everybody. It's 1 week away till the rally.
Johnny, it's Johnny.
Sexy Johnny.
Johnny, like me, Johnny.
I love when you say that to me.
And
Now you make me blush.
I know you are blushing. Oh, it's so sweet.
Anytime a sexy woman
and
flirts with me, I get blushy.
riding the classy girl couch like she's a cowgirl. It's Miss Emma.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hello, darlings. It's simply lovely to be here. And I missed last week.
You were busy.
Unfortunately, I had to play catch up at the shop, and I just had so many customers who needed their bikes doing. I simply couldn't make it. So,
Were those the boots you wore all day today?
yeah, I was in these boots all day.
I love them. I didn't even notice until now.
Yeah, I always
I
try
like the
to
zipper on the outside.
step up my footwear game.
Yeah. Very nice.
And of
you.
course, that would be the dulcet tones of Naked Jim.
Hey, I'm trying a new political thing. Not that we get political. It's called Drop Dirt Bikes, Not Bombs.
Oh,
I think it's a bumper sticker. Anyway, peace, love, and soul. Great to be here.
like drop dirt bike. What? You might get hurt and
Well,
end up with soil where
yes.
soil in an
There's
orifice.
soiling that occurs.
Yes.
And of course, joining us from always lovely Velveeta, Oregon, it's Bagel.
Hey, don't drop it, ride it.
Ain't that the truth? What's on your T-shirt, Bagel?
Oh, that's the Inland Invasion scooter rally shirt. Kitty cat on a Vespa P200.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Like Puss in Boots, but a little different.
Yes.
Puss in Scoots.
Oh,
Puss in Scoots.
oh, I see. I see what you did there. What's that? And how's things in Velveeta? A lot of cheese, I suppose.
Oh yes, it's very very springy time up here. Everything's blossoming and lots of pollen everywhere. Lots of allergies. Tis the season.
Yes.
But,
Are there hints of summer?
A little bit, yeah. We've had a couple of days where it got kind of warm, which
Nice.
was nice, and had some sun, had some rain. We had some thunder and lightning the other day. That was exciting.
Very exciting.
So yeah.
Mein Gott, Donner und Blitzen?
Jawohl.
Ja.
As I said, we had a busy day in the garage. Lots going on.
Well, me and Jim had a busy night last night.
Oh, don't tell stories now.
Oh.
Well, we actually went to burlesque.
Oh,
And-
yeah. You've been going for a long time
Well,
now.
It's
Funny you should say that.
I wanted to bring it up because first and foremost, I wanted to thank Jim for inviting me. But what an interesting subculture it is.
Is Abraham Lincoln still there?
No, this was another group.
Oh.
Oh, we're just scratching the surface
Yeah,
here.
Abraham Lincoln and the Gettysburg Undress is no. But what an interesting subculture, and I would suggest, Jim,
Yes.
that last night, because I mean, basically, it forms you sit and observe, and there are women who take their clothes off and parade around in front of you, and it's all very jolly. There were some very modified bodies.
I would say women, I would say, that in a very broad sense.
Yes.
Humans. It was a stage full of just humans. And it was the most I had laughed in a long time. It was
But we had a
great
wonderful time. Jim is always fantastic company. And we had a jolly time.
We did. Well, the history part is it was their 15-year anniversary. And you may have been to this, but their very first burlesque, so Sin Sisters Burlesque,
Yeah.
a Santa Cruz homegrown, how do you describe it? Just wonderfulness.
Yeah.
Been doing burlesque here for 15 years. And
Yes.
This was their anniversary show. The very first one was at the Catalyst in the big room, and they partnered with the Santa Cruz Derby Girls. And it was effing hilarious.
So you guys don't know this, but years ago, I used to host variety shows in my backyard. My
I
deck
didn't know this.
got turned into a stage. That's why that whole railing is cut.
Can remove
So
it.
it is a removable railing, and that's why I have that spotlight in the living room. My dad would run the spotlight, and we'd do these variety shows in the backyard, and I'd line up chairs.
Well, now, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Is this when you were a child?
No.
This was you as an adult?
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
we used to have the early Sin City, the burlesque girls come
I
and
remember that.
do burlesque at my variety show.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So last night,
Yeah.
Cyanide Sin, who's the producer,
Yes.
and used to be my next door neighbor 15 years
Right.
ago. Yes, I installed the
The
stripper
pole in her kitchen.
in their dining room. Yes. And so anyway, cheers to them. Now they've become a Santa Cruz institution. So Cyanide Sin and Zandor LaFay and Face Paint performed, and the wee Mexican person that ran about the stage in sparkly boots.
He was just lovely.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring it up, I see a lot of parallels between the whole that culture and the motorcycling culture.
I know where you're going.
Because it's a very, very tight bonded culture. It's people are very, very loyal to it.
Mm-hmm.
But outside it's extremely misunderstood.
Well, we brought both worlds together with our Numbnuts Challenge.
We did.
We did.
Right.
We had Rizzo Rogue and Abraham Lincoln perform
exactly.
during the...
Who performed the Gettysburg Address?
Yes. I think it was a fan dance, which was lovely.
But bringing it back, so we had a lot of people showing up today.
I showed up early, and there were many people with their bikes in pieces.
Oh, yeah. And there's one I just wanted to give a mention. He was adorable. His name was Luca, and he showed up on the GN 400. The
genuine? Yeah.
And this kid shows up.
Looked like he stepped out of a magazine.
Yeah. He had the nice dark jeans with a tall, like 4-inch cuff.
They call it this selvage or whatever.
Yeah, with nice brown leather lace-up boots, and he had a brown leather jacket and then like a white tight tank top underneath, and he had just a little hairy chest poking out, and he took his jacket off and he had the muscles and he had the hair, and I just walked up to him and I waved with my hand. I went, "This works."
I'm like, that's right up your alley. He was quite handsome. He looked like he stepped. I mean, I'm not picking on him whatsoever because he seemed quite nice, but he looked like he came out of a magazine. Like,
well, then he asked. He had to fix some turn signals, so I'm like giving him some tools, and he fixed his turn signals.
But did you actually hear you give him double-sided tape?
Yeah, because he was putting the screw. So on the turn signals, you have to put the nut on the inside, and then put the turn signal, the amber. What do you call it?
Lens.
The
lens on. And then every time you put the screw through, it just knocked the nut over.
Oh.
So I said, take a little bit of double-sided tape, poke a hole in the middle, and tape that nut on. It'll hold it in while you put the lens on so you can put the screw in. And it worked.
Was that just you flirting with him?
No. But what I want to mention, it ties into last week's episode, because I was admitting that I really appreciate the like hipster trends of like brown leather seats and all that stuff. And so he had asked about what would be luggage options for this little, GN 400. And I'm like, oh, I know what you need. I said, I am not making fun of you right now, but there are all these hipster accessories that would look so good on this bike.
He needs a satchel.
I said, it needs to be like wax cotton or canvas, that kind of materials. It will be cooler if you only have it on one side. And I'm like, because you need to go for this whole image. I'm like, and again, I'm not making fun of you, because it seemed like I was mocking. I'm like, no. I really like the aesthetics.
It's just a subculture.
It is.
And I've seen, Bonneville's really cemented that whole thing. And you could get like a single almost looks like a leather briefcase
Yeah.
in very, very shiny brown leather. And I mean, it is what it is.
Well, in fact, you know where you can get a really good collection of hipster luggage for a motorcycle? AliExpress.
Crickets. Yeah.
Of course.
No. Seriously. So I'm trying to find
You reminded me of one of the guys out of like Bike Raiders.
Show this, Emma. Look at this. Tell me that wouldn't be cool. On that bike.
So for the benefit of people who are listening to this, actually, this does look quite cool. So it's a vintage motorcycle backpack riding equipment, waterproof canvas leather brown retro rear seat. That's the actual...
but it's not a rear seat. It's like a single saddlebag.
Yeah, it is.
That's like canvas and leather. For how much? How much is it?
$22.60.
There you go.
What is it attached to?
There's a picture and it's
A Chinese orphan.
No, it is. It's
a
attached.
sewing machine?
No, it's attached to a man.
Oh.
Because it also comes off as a satchel.
Yes.
What does it come off of on your motorcycle?
I think you have to use like
just
zip
figure it
ties
out
or
somehow.
leather
Yeah,
straps
okay,
or
but still,
something,
it's
you
cool.
know. But I mean, that's an example. I'm like, dude, I love this subculture, the hipster subculture.
Now we're gonna come to the curse of AliExpress and the curse of Temu. It has 71 ratings. The very first rating. The bags are... wait a minute. Oh, I thought he said smaller. The bags are much better in real life than in the photos. The straps are real leather. Oh, this person's very nice, very happy. Very nice quality bag. I will probably order another.
There you go.
Well, $22. You can't go wrong.
If you want hipster accessories, AliExpress is a place to go.
I have a question. What about the Genuine Motorcycle Company? So this is like the same as Genuine Scooter, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's the same company.
So
Bagel.
I don't know anything about this motorcycle, but it was kind of handsome in a retro looking way.
Well, the Genuine have been on the scene for many, many years, and they are Chinese built, but they're really.
Look at this option, Emma.
They're really they pitch as a higher quality than average. I mean, Bagel probably knows more about them than anybody else.
Right. Well, let me give it a little bit of background on Genuine. They basically were an offshoot of what was Scooter Works in Chicago, and really what they ended up doing was starting this company to import bikes primarily from Asia. For the U.S. market, but rebrand them and make sure that they are built to specifications that will, be of a certain quality, and especially with like we've talked about Chinese manufacturing before, where they will build things to whatever level of quality you want. And same goes for for other Asian markets as well. Taiwan and India, wherever. And so basically what Genuine did was they started going to different countries in Asia to source vehicles that they could sell here in the U.S. They handled the homologation for the U.S. market, EPA testing, CARB, and all that. And they rebadged them in a way and set them up with the accessories and features that they figured would be popular for the U.S. market. And just brought in all kinds of different models. Some were, the Genuine Stella is a vintage two-stroke style Vespa clone, basically.
Right.
There's, the Genuine Buddy is a modern.
Yeah, that's the one I'm familiar with.
Right. Those are the ones that most of us know. But they've had a whole range of models. There's the Rattler. There's just all kinds of different models from like 50 cc's up to 200 and 200 plus. And then they came out with these motorcycles several years ago.
So when did that kind of happen?
In 400. Emma, do you recall? Was it like around?
Was that like an Asian market?
No, they are for America. It's
Phil's a dealer. I think he had one.
Oh, okay.
So maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Shortly before, I think it was shortly before COVID when they started coming around. I think the pandemic did slow things down, but yeah, they're a decent bike. They're Chinese production, but made to a decent level of quality.
Taiwanese or Chinese?
I think they're Chinese.
I think
I
so
could be wrong.
too.
Okay.
But yeah, from what I've heard, they're decent bikes. They haven't become super popular, but from what little I've heard, people have been happy with them. Emma, do you know more about them?
And there's a couple of buddies that show up at Mototown, and I vividly remember the one showing up not long after it opened, which has been 5 years now. And it was a local guy. He bought it brand new.
Yep.
And he said, look, this is an alternative, so I save fuel. And he gets it serviced diligently. And it's been a really good scooter. It's a buddy kick.
Yeah.
150.
Okay.
It's a kick. So, I mean, it's a little scooter, but we got him on Motul 300V very, very early on, and that engine has never let him down. And he's had punctures and stupid stuff like that, but it's been remarkably reliable.
Yeah, and I believe those are Taiwanese, right?
Yes, it's built in Taiwan, the kit.
Yeah.
John, what do you think of these saddlebags for a motorcycle? These canvas. This is now a pair of them.
I don't know. They're a little ugly.
Yeah, but
They would work though.
look at the price.
Oh, for $12 all day long.
$12.19.
I don't care how ugly they are.
Free shipping.
Oh my God.
I might need to order a bunch of these just to check them out. But I'm like, this is like the hipster stuff is so perfect. Anyway, I was kind of adoring him.
You just love to buy shit.
He just had the
love
whole
accessories.
look, and I'm like,
Yeah, he was cool. It was cool.
you need to know about these. But we were really busy today building trophies for our rally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we do where we have a bunch of different awards that we give out. And so, but we build trophies, and this is how I get rid of a lot of the old motorcycle parts in the garage.
Like how Phil gets rid of scooters at vintage days.
Yeah, exactly. I just pull out all these old rotors and chains and bearings and just throw everything on a table and like make stuff. And everyone got to work, and Emma, we decided to create a new award called the Emma's Choice. I'm like, you get to make your own trophy. And next thing you know, she's like, I have to go. What?
Yes.
We're in the middle of doing all this stuff. You have to leave. It became apparent when she returned. She needed supplies because she had a vision.
Oh, I accompanied her to her secret warehouse.
Just be thankful.
We took King Kong, yes.
Yes, we incorporated a child's figurine into the trophy.
Give away too much.
Yeah, well, we can't give away too much, but it's deeply troubling.
If it was in a modern art museum, it would be like issues.
But nevertheless, it came out very, very well.
Very
and
well.
I'm gonna very proudly hand it over to somebody. But I think the pertinent question I'll ask before I actually hand it out is, I'll do a show of hands. Who would actually want this trophy?
Everyone.
Someone with issues. Well, I was welding up a pineapple at home before I rushed over here.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, pineapple trophy. You know what that means, don't you, Emma?
I do.
The pineapple.
No, tell me.
I know.
Upside down one, right?
Oh my. The upside down pineapple.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that parlays back into our Misfits rally next weekend because I am doing the food tour, and I was showing everyone some of the options. At one of the restaurants on Friday, I'm doing the food tour. Dude, I have found the most amazing Mexican restaurant in Hollister.
Really?
And it is attached to a gas station. So now it qualifies as
better
adventure dining.
Gas station sushi.
It is a Mexican restaurant that specializes in sushi and seafood.
Oh, yes.
And some of these
dishes... Is it in
dishes...
Watsonville or Salinas?
Hollister.
Oh. Oh.
And no,
I know a guy that ate raw oysters from Hollister, and he got so sick in the hospital, the U.S. government came to visit him because they're like, people don't get that shit anymore. What did you eat? Anyway,
Wow.
don't buy oysters at Safeway.
so I'm going to send you a
In
link,
Hollister.
Jim,
Yeah, I'm super curious.
of something on their menu that I want you to see. Because you mentioned pineapples.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
I don't know if it takes
So-
Pineapples is, oh, good Lord.
Well, while I,
There's legs. It's a pineapple boat with legs coming out of it. King crab legs.
reminds me
I think
strongly
there's fried shrimp
of a
buried in it.
scene from The Thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes, John Carpenter's The Thing
It's John Carpenter's The Thing meets a pineapple.
with rice.
Yes.
I'm sending you another one, Jim.
Oh,
So
there's
while you're
so
looking
much
at this,
yes in this picture.
Misfits Rally.
Oh, it's the bloody pineapple. Oh, good God.
Does this not look amazing?
Oh, anything Maricosos is good.
Muddy Coast.
Misfitsrally.org or breakingawadventures.com.
Right.
You can
What
find.
is this?
We have now opened up, if you can only come for a day, you can buy single day tickets. I'll be doing the food tour on Friday. Emma, you're going to be doing your tour on Saturday.
And it's constantly evolving. So we were doing 3 separate tours. We were doing the food tour with Liza on Friday, my tour for the experienced riders, and Micah was leading the beginners rider.
Mhm.
Both on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, after talking with Micah, our rides are so similar in scope and venture. We've decided to amalgamate the two and just see how people do. Because the advanced ride is not going to be a fast ride. I mean, generally we're a speed limit ride, and if anybody's like, I really want to go quick, so we're just.
But you're going a pretty good distance.
Yeah, and the riding you're doing, if everyone spreads out and rides their own ride, and you collect people at the
Right.
at the turnoffs or whatever.
Well, there's that one section, I've never done it without hitting triple digits. Heading down to Pinnacles.
Oh, I know that spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that spot.
It's the perfect, endless view of the road ahead.
Well, but you got to be mindful when you're with 10 people.
I know.
So the place Liza is talking about is on Highway 25, and it is just past the showgrounds.
Piscinas, yeah.
Piscinas showgrounds.
Bellado Park is what you're talking about.
However, there is a hazard right in the middle, and it's a gate that leads to a farm. And if you're incredibly unlucky, there is farm equipment that comes in and out of that gate. And, it's kind of right in the middle, but you do have a good visual on it. But yes, it's going to be a beautiful street ride. We're going to go all the way down to King City. We're going to lunch in King City. We're going to take Metz Road, which is one of my favorite street rides in the whole of California. I love Metz Road. Soledad, we're going to take River Road, we're going to go past a couple of missions. Might actually kind of squeak in a little tour of San Juan Bautista before we head back to the campground.
There's a good bakery.
Yeah,
there's a good bakery in San Juan.
It's going to be a lovely street ride. It's all day. Join us. I mean, if you can't come for the whole weekend, kick down for the day, come and have breakfast, do the street ride, and then go back home that night.
These are just street rides. We've got ADV rides going out, and then we've got dirt riding in the park. So it's something for everybody.
Yeah, I think Scotty's going to do the harder ADV ride out to New Ivory to the ghost town and see what that's all about. And I think I'm going to follow him with another group. And instead of going south down to the ghost town, we're going to keep heading east out just into the middle of San Benito County. Beautiful dirt road, improved dirt road, but beautiful riding. Yeah, so it'll be kind of fun. Don't know what day it is, but yeah.
So yeah, come to the Misfits Rally. It's next weekend.
I think Thursday, if you get there on Thursday, is going to be just dirt bike day.
We
I
should
like
give the dates, and it is going to be April 16th through 19th. And Emma, as usual, I'm going to leave Sunday morning to come open the garage. Will you stay and make sure everything's shut down?
Oh, yeah. Well, me and Matt always do a good job of closing everything down, and then we'll make sure it's safe, and then I'll join you for the podcast.
Thank you. No, we're going to be doing a podcast live.
Oh, that's right.
Saturday night, recording live.
What?
Yeah.
You know what? Have we ever gone to Corbin's for breakfast?
Every time I take
Your ride goes there? Okay.
And then I do the Corbin tour. This is the first time I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I know.
But
Are you coming down, Bagel?
No, I can't make it this
Oh,
year.
bummer.
bummer.
Bagel's got a girlfriend now. He's got better things
He's
to
got
do.
responsibilities.
I do.
I did talk to Matt, though. It's he said it's more people than last year. It's
Yay.
filling up and bigger,
Well,
better, badder.
And the
Bigger-
rain today.
Bigger, longer uncut.
The rain today is making good dirt.
And they
for
did get
next
rain
week.
out in Hollister. I was watching it last night. Not
Yeah.
too much, but they got some rain. So, yeah.
I wanted to make a quick announcement. So a few days ago, I finally released the info. I've kind of been skirting around what I'm doing this summer. But if you go to worldrecordride.com,
Can't believe you got that.
I know.
Mean name.
I know, World Record Ride. So yeah, I am doing a ride with Wendy Crockett, and we are going to be setting a world record riding. That's why I bought this bike. We are going to be spelling WRWR 2026 across the United States, which is Women Riders World Relay. And we're calling this Women Riders World Relay World Record Ride, or WR3 for short.
That's where that comes from.
WR3 ride.
I think you're going to be finding God on this journey.
Yeah. So
How many miles? How many miles a day?
averaging 600 a day. So
For 2 weeks?
No.
no, 21 days. 22 days, something like that. And that's just but we got to
If
We
it was
gotta
Bagel, I
start-
wouldn't be worried. Bagel
we
be
got to
like, yeah,
start
knock that out.
and then
no
we got to
problem, but-
finish and and in that whole time as we're doing it, we're going to be at the Tour Tech Rally up in Washington State
Oh, cool.
in June. And
You
then
and Wendy?
mm-hmm. And then we're going to finish at the Vintage A's that we're going to be at, where we're going to be presented. The team, Atlas Records, is sending a team to present us with our world
No
record.
pressure
there.
here to finish, huh?
I know, right?
You should request a presentation at the Burnout Pit on Saturday night.
And then we have a day off and then go to the Athena Rally, which is a women's motorcycle rally in Ohio. And then we've got like 5 days to get to Sturgis. But of course, Wendy wants to do it in 2. Like,
Of course.
can we just slow it down a little?
Like a book tour.
Yeah, so we'll go to Sturgis. So I'm going to be at Sturgis.
When is that? When is Sturgis?
This is going to be August.
Okay.
The beginning
'cause
of,
it
like,
is
first
beautiful
weekend of
out there.
August. Right. And then I'll be coming home from there, and there are people who want me to stop along the way and do more passes. So I get home sometime in August. Anyhow, but World Record Ride. So here's the thing. Anyone can sign up to join us and be a part of the World Record Ride. When I say anyone,
Is it?
male or female, anyone is welcome to join us. Again, the only restriction is the guys don't get to carry the baton, because I'm going to have the original baton from the first War ride, and we can't pass our digital batons. Just men can't participate in baton passing. Everything else, men are welcome to join,
And it's
because there are a lot of women like to ride with their partner.
pride friendly
It's everything.
to encompass all the things.
All
Yes.
the things.
Just checking in.
Anyone is welcome to join us, and that way we're asking people to do like an entire leg a day, so you can point on the map when we have our record and say, I was part of that section. So people have been signing up. One woman has signed up to do 5 days with us.
Wow.
What do the
Another-
Hells Angels say? Keep up and stay up?
Yeah. Another woman has signed up on her Kawasaki Versus 300 that I have concerns
Oh,
about.
geez. That's going to be a rough ride for that long.
Yeah. Well,
But doable.
But so that's out of the bag. Worldrecordride.com. Tell people about it. Let them know. And if you go to the website, I have a page for just the route. You can click on each day. It'll tell you how many miles, where we're starting, where we're finishing. It doesn't mean that's a route, because there's one day that we start in Rogers, Arkansas, and we finish in Rogers, Arkansas. But we're doing 600 miles because we're spelling things. So there's like loops and stuff like that.
Yeah, don't misspell it.
Are you guys camping or hoteling it, or?
We're hoteling it. And in fact, I'm going to be spending my 60th birthday in Boone, North Carolina.
Dang.
Woohoo! Okay.
How do you feel about turning 60, Liza?
I feel good because I watched you do it and it didn't look too painful.
Yes, that was a long time ago.
It was still rocking it.
But I wanted to get to our topic. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Honda Rebel.
Yes.
A bike that doesn't get a lot of respect or love, even though it's a hugely popular, successful model for Honda.
Right.
And it reminded me of another bike, not by Honda, but by Suzuki, another model of bike that does not get any love. In fact, we can call it a flop. We could, right? Would you call it a flop?
No.
This certain model,
This subset genre.
There you go.
called the Suzuki
Burlesque.
Gladius.
Yes.
And I find this story about the Gladius interesting because there's nothing wrong with the bike, right, Emma?
Nothing whatsoever. It's actually a wonderful little bike.
Wonderful bike. And that was not accepted by the community. And we'll get into why. And it only lasted a couple years where they had to nix it and move on. But
Suzuki have done this before, you know.
I want to let you take this over a bit, Emma, because for those who don't know the Gladius, we're gonna talk about all these different avenues off of it. But it's a great bike. You can still buy them used, but nobody loved them. So let's talk about the Gladius, and then we can go back into the history. Why was the Gladius a flop?
I think there was a variety of reasons. And Suzuki, God bless them, and you know I'm a Suzuki girl through and through.
Oh, yeah.
So this is from a place of love. If ever there was a manufacturer who is capable of shooting themselves in the foot, it's Suzuki. And I think when we look at the Gladius, it was questionably styled. It was very inappropriately named.
The name, even for me, the name.
Gladius?
Right. And the marketing was way off the mark. 1, 2, 3. And it really was this trifecta of shite in what should have been a great little bike. And it is. If you ever get the opportunity to ride a Gladius, it rides like a very nicely set up SV650. Which brings us round. What is an SV650? Is there anybody who possibly doesn't know what an SV650 is?
Before we go there,
Yes.
do you know where the name Gladius came from?
Tell me.
So this is kind of interesting because the name, for me, I think the name was part of the flaw because my grandma's name was Gladys. I'm like, who wants a bike named after someone's grandma? But the Gladius was a primary short sword, 19 to 28 inches, used by Roman legionaries for stabbing and slashing, renowned for its immense efficiency in close quarters combat.
Right.
It's a word also sounding awesome when translated into Japanese. And they're like, oh, look at that. That's going to be great.
So
the Gladius is a sword used by the Romans.
have Suzuki named a bike after a bladed weapon before?
Katana.
There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the difference is Katana sounds good. Gladius,
does.
not so much.
What's Hayabusa mean?
Oh, Hayabusa is a
Black Hawk.
yeah,
right?
it's a hawk that
Yeah.
eats blackbirds.
Got it.
It was
that's-
very
The
it was
Honda.
Oh,
named.
that's right. I remember all this.
Yeah,
That's
For the
right.
Honda. Against the
yeah.
Honda. Yeah.
The Honda.
So
So yeah, interesting. Yeah, it should have been cool because it's named after a Roman
Yeah.
sword, and they've done that before, but that was part of it. But let's get to it.
So the Gladius, in order to understand the Gladius, we need to understand its predecessor. And so let's go back to the late 90s. And I had a good time in the late 90s. I think it was a pretty good time to be alive. It was very creative, music scene was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you're watching a Madness video today?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Madness used to do a lot of ads for Japanese TV for
One step beyond.
Yeah.
Honda.
Honda, yeah.
Mhm.
Honda
They were
car
great
company.
ads too.
Oh, they really were great ads. But in the late 90s, Suzuki were getting a bit long in the tooth with their middleweights. So if you wanted a middleweight size Suzuki, a street bike, you could buy the GS500 Twin, which, I mean, really had its roots going back to the early 80s. To the GS Twin, so the early 80s. Then you could get the GSX 600F, which was called a Katana, but really wasn't.
These are water cooled.
Yeah, I mean, they're what's called oil cooled. They've got big.
Okay.
It looks like a radiator, but it's an oil cooler. Good engine. I mean, basically it's like a Gixxer 600 engine, but in a little more sit-uppy chassis, or a GSX 750, which was basically a slightly larger version of that. But these were older designs, and Suzuki needed something modern and really to take it into the 21st century. So they came up with the SV650, and I mean, it was a stonkingly good design.
Is that their first V-twin?
Let me have a think.
I think it was.
It might have been their very first V-twin, yeah. Because, I mean, Kawasaki, if you go back... No, wait a minute. Suzuki had the Intruders in the 80s.
Oh, they were V-twins. That's right, they were. And the Vulcan, too, right?
Well, that's Kawasaki.
Oh, that's Kawasaki.
But I mean, I'm thinking Kawasaki had its roots with the Meguro and the Lilac, which go back to the early 60s, but Suzuki didn't have that. But nevertheless,
V-Strom.
that came later. That came later. So for 1999 model year, Suzuki came out with the SV650. And very compact, very lightweight, very strong frame. Beautiful little V-twin engine, 4 valves per cylinder, carburetted, very punchy. Have you got the horsepower figures there, Liza? I haven't looked them up yet. But they were a very, very punchy engine. It was pretty much the 650 to have. And when you took the whole package, you took the handling, the braking, the road holding ability, and the performance of the engine. It was where to be. And came in 2 versions.
69 to 72 horses.
Doesn't sound much now.
47 foot-pounds of torque, so pretty equal.
Yeah. But in a lightweight chassis, it was very good for the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they always felt more stout than they actually were. I mean, it's that eagerness of a V-twin. It was really a very, very pleasant bike to ride. I like the Gen 1, the carburetted Gen 1 SVs. They've just got this willingness about them. It's a very willing little bike. Came in 2 flavors. It came in the naked flavor, and then the S, which had a half fairing on it.
I think they were both good looking, but that naked was really popular.
Yeah, it was huge too. And, great bang for the buck as well. They were very reasonably priced.
That was the word on the street, because I remember then they were very popular amongst people who like to ride a bit aggressive because you could get great power for
We've had a
affordable
bunch through
price.
the garage. Remember, Mike had Pumpkin, and then Zach
had one,
SV650.
Gen 1.
Yeah, there's been a bunch.
I had
through the
many friends who
garage.
had them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean,
they're good.
There was one here today.
Yeah, there was that thing with all the red.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's right.
the Farkle. Yeah,
Yeah, but
Good-looking
when they
bike.
first came out, they were very popular here in the Bay Area. There are a lot of riders who like to ride Spirited,
Mhm.
and that was a very popular bike, as well as a trackable bike.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
thing; it could do both really well.
Mhm.
So, always gas and gators for 3 years, and then for the 2003 model, we got fuel injection, which was kind of long overdue, which didn't necessarily give you more power, but it was a lot more stable platform. I mean, for the larger bikes, fuel injection is definitely the way to go. And a redesigned frame, and they went to a box section aluminium.
I think I liked that original Gen 1 tubular frame.
It's very good looking frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of stout. It's not. There's nothing subtle about it.
But yeah, so the Gen 1 only lasted, what, I think like 3 years?
3 years.
And-
2002 was the last model year, and I mean, you could still buy Gen 1s in 03.
Yeah.
But generally 03 was now the Gen 2 with
They-
the fuel injection.
They held their value pretty well. Everyone wanted one. But yeah, considering how popular it was, it only lasted 3 years.
Right.
And then that second gen, different frame, fuel injected, a lot of changes to it.
A lot of detail upgrades, but still instantly recognizable as an SV. If you park a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 next to one another, it's clearly the same bike.
Mhm.
It's just an updated version. And so,
Oh, geez.
I'm not sure about that noise.
You knocked your bottle over.
Oh, no. Good job it was empty. So then 4 years go by, and we come to 2007. And Suzuki did what Suzuki does best and put its foot firmly in its mouth. And came up with what it saw as a logical development of the SV, which was the Gladius. And it was essentially, it was an updated SV650. And when it was updated, the styling was very, very different. They tuned the engine a little bit differently. Still very, very punchy. They changed the chassis around somewhat. It was slightly longer. The one argument against the SV, it's always had a twitchy chassis, which is part of what makes it so fun, but it can be a little intimidating for a new rider because they do change direction very, very quickly. So they got some of that twitchiness out with the Gladius. And basically it was a very developed version of its predecessor.
And that was box frame or was it trellis? Or
Oh,
just-
no,
or
it was
steel?
no, it was a trellis frame, but it went to steel.
Okay.
And so it's a steel frame, very clever frame. Its closest relative in terms of design, I would say, is probably a late 1980s Spondon.
Okay.
That's its closest relative. It's a backbone frame. And all SVs have had backbone frames. You know, they've all hung the engine out in front of the, below and in front of the frame. But there's just something very Spondon-y about the Gladius frame. But just the styling was polarizing.
I have some comments to add, but I'll let you drop the reason why it flopped.
Well,
and then I have got some.
Well, I mean, we
additions to that.
can go in. There's a variety of reasons. Reason number one, it was an odd-looking bike, and Suzuki, and again, we already talked. They've named a bike after a stabbing instrument before.
Stabbing and slashing.
Right. They have also brought out a bike that is quite polarizing in styling and had to tame it down. The rotary, the RE5,
Mm-hmm.
the very first RE5 was very, very radically styled. And so they toned it down. And I think had they toned down the Gladius a little bit, it might have done better. But what we were presented with was a bike that, proportionally speaking, it actually was quite agreeable proportion. But it had plastic cladding on the side of the tank, very curvaceous. Plastic cladding on the frame, which is always kind of a bit of a no-no to me. Now, it's become a lot more normal. It's very difficult to buy a Ninja these days without plastic cladding on the frame. But this was very radical for 2007. And there was quite a lot of it. And usually it was in a contrasting color. So they really wanted to bring your attention to the fact there was this plastic cladding on the frame. But the worst offender, by far the worst offender, was that friggin' headlight.
I don't know. The exhaust is pretty ugly too, though.
The what?
The exhaust.
I mean, the exhaust isn't great, but I could live with it.
So
The barometer I use is, if I bought one of these things, could I actually live with it? And I really couldn't live with that headlight. I think with a conventional headlight, you could make it actually quite handsome.
some people said they look like boobs.
The tank or the headlight?
The headlight.
Yeah.
The real thing here, like there was aesthetic differences, but the marketing was the kiss of death.
And the marketing, so Suzuki decided that the Gladius, even though it is named after a weapon, its primary market was going to be to women.
Yeah. That was its kiss of death.
And I think that's a huge mistake. And before people start to chuck a brick at their mobile phone while they're listening to this, I think if you market any vehicle to either a male or female audience, you're missing out on the big picture, because basically you're alienating half of your potential marketing.
So I have some info from the internets that talks about this. So the Suzuki Gladius, also known as the SFV 650, was marketed toward women by focusing on accessibility, styling, and ergonomics, designed to cater to smaller or less experienced riders, effectively aiming to capture the growing demographic of female motorcyclists. While it was a solid performer for all riders, its marketing, particularly upon its 2009 release, heavily emphasized features suitable for women, sometimes leading to it being labeled as a woman's bike. Now, what's interesting is I scroll down to another article I found on Reddit, and the headline is, "Don't get the Gladius, it's a woman's bike."
So, and this is what makes it...
That's right to Emma's point.
This is what makes it so unfortunate, because once you're labeled with that, it's very, very hard to move away from it. And I vividly remember part of the... Liza said, look up the marketing campaign for the Gladius when it was new. And I remember it vividly. And I'll give you an example.
One of the first times I saw women in a motorcycle ad.
Oh,
right.
It stood out.
And in the ad, remember, this is a Suzuki ad for the bike.
And they were the motorcyclist, not the passenger.
And Suzuki said, well, you're going to have to wear protective clothing to ride this bike. So we suggest a stout pair of boots and a leather jacket. But you may soften the look by wearing culottes in a matching color to the bike.
Oh, wow.
That is an actual line from the Gladius marketing.
Wow.
And It's easy to just dismiss it as sexist, misogynistic tripe now, but it was that in 2007. And so basically, you alienated half the potential market for that bike.
So here's the things that they specifically were marketing here. So for the ergonomics and low seat height, a key selling point was the low seat height, allowing smaller riders to easily place their feet on the ground, providing confidence and stability. The bike was designed to feel light and nimble. The softer aesthetic and styling. Unlike the more aggressive angular styling of the SV650 it replaced, the Gladius featured flowing rounded lines and fashionable styling, often marketed as chic. The color choices, and this is another one that was not good for them. They released the Gladius with unconventional and vibrant color combinations, such as pink, magenta, and combinations like white and blue or white magenta, which were intended to appeal to female sport bikers.
Magenta, that appeals to me.
Right. And then friendly performance, while still a capable 650 V-twin engine, it was described as having a smooth, manageable power delivery, making it less intimidating for beginners and immediate riders. Now, the reception of the marketing is interesting. Some female riders criticized the attempt, finding it condescending.
Right.
Or arguing that styling should not be prioritized over power, with one reviewer noting that design-wise, it shouldn't matter. Others joked about the boob headlights and feminine aesthetic. Despite the female-focused marketing, many reviewers acknowledged it was a capable, all-rounder good bike.
And that's the biggest tragedy of all of this. If you want to talk about a completely misunderstood bike, the Gladius is it. It is an enormously capable bike, and if you ever get the opportunity to ride one, I invite you to do so. Because it's everything you're going to like about the SV650, which is an enormously likable bike. And they've just taken some of the quirkiness out of it, like the sharp handling and the very abrupt throttle response, and just made it far more pleasant to live with.
Does the Gladius have collector potential? Because they didn't make it
No.
for a long time, did they?
Oh, God.
Like, can you find them now easily? I don't so.
think you can find stock ones.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. We'll get to that.
I mean...
So I personally, the first one I ever saw was that white and blue.
And I like that. That
It's
is...
a good-looking bike, yeah.
Which I liked.
With the exception of that fucking headlight, it's a great-looking bike. I like the curves of it. I'm not sure about the cladding on the frame. Just because I'm not sure whether you should put cladding on a frame.
And then this is the white and magenta one.
Again, a fantastic...
It still is good looking, but the magenta's a little...
Look at the bloody plastic on the frame. There is so much of it.
It's almost bulbous.
It's a huge amount of plastic on that frame. So anyway, it's...
wait, why do they call the headlights boobs? It has one headlight.
Yeah, it's a single boob. It's a monoboob.
It's a mono poop.
Uniboob.
Now, history repeating itself. Suzuki have made boob-shaped lights before. And everyone's forgotten because they changed it.
What is that? That was on the Henrietta 400?
If you look at the tail light on like a 96 Katana 750, it's a boob.
Looks like a tit.
It's absolutely a boob.
Is it wobbly or is it more firm?
No, it's quite erect actually, but it's definitely a boob. So this thing soldiered on for a little while, and of course it was an unmitigated sales disaster.
This is the kiss of death. The picture of a woman riding Gladius.
Wearing culottes. So
what is it, F700, 800, that BMW with the gas tanks of water cooler? Ice cooler?
Yeah. So anyway, so this thing lasted a couple of years, and Suzuki realized it was a dud. So what did they do? they reintroduced the SV650.
Yeah.
But everyone now who is sniggering because the SV650, it beat the Gladius. It's not quite as simple as that. They incorporated a lot of the good stuff of the Gladius into the SV650. Yeah. So it became an amalgamation of both. The frame on what we're going to call now the Gen 3 SV650, which is the post-Gladius, has got a lot more in common with a Gladius frame than a Gen 2 SV650. The actual chassis has got a lot more in common with the Gladius. Liza's got this horrified look on her face.
No, this will come up later. John's found something. Make sure you forward it to Emma.
Yep.
So the SV, which we can still buy now brand new, has got far more in common with the Gladius than with its crazy uncle, who was replaced by the Gladius back in 2007. So it's kind of come full circle.
So what I find interesting too, when you look at best-selling Suzuki models of all time, the SV650 was one of the best. So they had this really, really popular model, the Gladius. Do you know what the most...
But that's not... But you see, the thing is, you misunderstand how Japanese manufacturers work. Japanese manufacturers do not rest on their laurels.
Yeah.
They're constantly thinking, how can we make this better? How can we improve this? And just because the SV650 sells well, that doesn't mean they're going to maintain the status quo. Now, the exception are Kawasaki. And Kawasaki, in a lot of respects, are the laziest manufacturer in the world because they will get a product that works.
Like the Ninja.
And just produce it and produce it and produce it.
But they keep making it better and better and better.
Well, marginally. I mean, you take concourses. The Connie from when it was introduced, the Gen 1.
Yeah, but you're talking about Ninja. How many different variations of, like, you have Ninja 250s, 500, 400, I mean, 750, 600,
Ninja's become a brand in itself.
Yeah.
Ninja's become a brand in itself. But, if you're buying a Ninja, you know what you're getting. You're getting the Sport Tourer.
Yeah.
So you just pick your size.
What were you going to say about the Concourse? Because they're pretty advanced, I think.
Well, they made the same one unchanged for like 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Gen 2 Concourse is a very, very slow development program because it was so advanced when it came out. I like SV650s. I like all three of them. I like Gladiuses. I mean, they were really unlike anything at the time. And it was a genuinely good bike that you could commute on, tour on, do track days on. It was a genuinely capable little bike.
I'm going to show you a picture. I had two issues with that bike.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the colors. I like everything. The name I thought was weird. That picture I just showed you. There's nothing extraordinary about that picture, right? Describe it.
Yeah.
It's some man riding
a white and blue Gladius. It's got a lot of plastic cladding on the frame.
But what I see is the proportions. He looks giant on that bike.
I gotcha.
And to me, I remember when they first came out, and I saw one and I sat on it. This was at the MotoGP at Laguna Seca. And I'm like, oh, check this out. And I'm like, oh, I felt all squished together because they did try. Now, they said that they made a lower seat height. I think going from the SV650 to this, I think it went down 3/4 of an inch. It's not a lot.
It's 30.9 inches.
It's very small, but just proportionately, they shrunk it down, the whole bike down. And to me, that picture of somebody riding it, he just looks giant on that bike. And for me, that's why they made something proportionate and lighter. But I think it looked weird seeing somebody riding it. Do you agree, Emma?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, it's definitely for a smaller rider.
Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have a bike that's made for smaller riders. I mean, when KLR came out with the shorter KLR,
Right.
great. Everyone was, good job. And GS, you can buy BMW GSs in a shorter version. Yay. But when Suzuki came out with one, I think it's not because they said we're making a bike for shorter riders. We're making a bike for
But it wasn't one of their models.
women.
It wasn't one of their models made shorter. It was a replacement of the
Now,
SV.
I am going to show you a picture. Look how handsome that thing looks in Heron Suzuki colors with no cladding on the frame.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very good looking bike. It's a shame. But the lessons to be learned is if you market your bike just to women, you're going to alienate a lot of men who want to buy the bike just to want a capable bike. Conversely, if you market your bike, this is a man's bike, all the women who are attracted to it are going to, no, I don't want that. It's man's
I know.
bike. You know, it's a very old-fashioned marketing technique. You know,
I'm going to throw in a comparison. Because I think that the Harley Sportster got labeled as a girl's bike. There's some parallels there.
And I think that happened by accident, and I shall tell you why.
Didn't start out that way for sure.
No, it didn't start out that way. But if in the 90s, when there was this resurgence of women who became interested in getting their license. And it was just a resurgence. That's all it was. There's always been women who ride bikes, but there was this populist resurgence of people, of women. And they walked into a Harley dealership because their boyfriend rode a Harley or their husband rode a Harley or whatever. There was nothing for them.
Let me show you the Sportster.
But we've got the Sportster here. And
for a newer rider who's not as confident, that was their beginner bike,
and
or the woman's bike.
Beginner, a Sportster is not the easiest bike to ride.
It's really not.
It's heavy. It's awkward. They're top heavy. I wonder how many people, both men and women, started off on a Sportster because they were told by a salesman it was a great starter bike, struggled with it, never got on with it. I'm done. I'm done. A far better bike for a beginner, if you want the cool factor, is a Bonneville.
Absolutely.
The 2001 on Bonneville is a perfect starter bike. It handles well, it brakes well, it's a lot more manageable than a Sportster. And it's cool enough that you can ride with.
Cooler than a Boulevard, right?
Bagel. Yeah. Is there a Gladius of the scooter world?
There are quite a few, I would say.
Like what the scooterist didn't accept. I'm curious to see how low that bar has to be.
Well, I mean, there's different scooters that have flopped for various reasons over the years. There's one that came to mind is the Malaguti Yesterday. Don't know.
Oh, I remember that one.
Oh, you know this one. This was a 50cc scooter that debuted around the same time as the Vespa ET2 and ET4 when they came back to the U.S. in the late 1990s. And this was a super cute, like vintage styled modern scooter, but it had a 2-stroke 50cc engine.
Sorry,
And-
we're passing.
You got to dig deep in this pistachio bag.
Pistachios
You just got to take
around.
out a
Sorry,
handful
Bagel.
and
We're just
No
putting
worries.
this shelf.
So
up
yes,
in
go
the-
ahead.
So, but this is the super cute, very small 50cc scooter, but very nice.
You said cute.
styling.
Anytime you refer to
oh,
something as cute, that's the kiss of death.
Well, that could be part of it, but it's a bike that I think could have competed with Vespa, on a even footing, except for the fact that they limited this model to 50 cc's, and because this was a Malaguti, it's an Italian brand that has sort of a higher end mark. Their price point was actually higher than Vespa's 50cc
Okay.
bike.
Emma's showing me a picture, and that looks a lot like the Barbie scooter.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
it's a very fashionable bike that that would have I think
Fashionable.
would have been very appealing if they'd offered it in a 150, but they did not. And the 50cc model was priced at $2,400, which was a few hundred more than the Vespa,
Oh, yeah.
comparable Vespa 50cc. So
Definitely a Barbie scooter.
yeah, so the Malaguti unfortunately did not flop, or did not succeed, and it flopped. But I think if they had a 150cc engine and a more robust service and support network, I think they could have had great success alongside Vespa in the early days of their return to the U.S. Would you like to hear about a few other?
Yeah.
mhm.
Years? Okay, so after that one, in the early 2000s, you've heard of Lambrettas.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah, the vintage Lambretta is a super iconic classic scooter. Well, the name has unfortunately been abused in many ways, and in many bad ways over the years.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
Did you abuse a Lambie?
The name has not been respected, let's say, in many ways, and particularly in 2008 or so. There was a pair of bikes that were introduced to the market called the Lambretta Uno and Due.
Mm.
Okay,
And
those sound
That
cool.
makes sense.
Sounds like Italian Uno Due, 1 and 2, great little bikes. Well, I mean, they're not bad bikes, I will say. They're Taiwanese rebadged bikes that had a Lambretta name slapped on them. These were made by the company called Adley. They were the Adley Noble and Panther, which were not particularly attractive bikes, let's say. They were kind of, well, the Uno was kind of a generic Taiwanese looking scooter. The Due was just ugly as sin, is the only way to describe it. And these were automatic 4-stroke scooters, 150 and 50 cc's. But the fact that these had the Lambretta name slapped on them was so highly offensive to
Absolutely.
every vintage Lambretta owner that they wanted absolutely nothing to do with these. And they scorned these bikes thoroughly when they came out. And because this was some company trying to use the Lambretta name to sell bikes, but not really having a support network or dealer network or anything like that, nobody else was really willing to buy them. So they lasted a couple of years, and then they kind of faded. They might have been offered in some places, other places around the world that, where they actually sold and nobody cared, and it was just, a cheap little bike, but they did not have any success here in the US and were a huge flop. But there are a couple other bikes too, including one that I own.
What?
Yes, the Stella 4-stroke 150 by Genuine Scooter Company.
Hey,
This is one of the let's say it's one of the last gasps of the vintage Vespa heritage. Let's say, because the Genuine Scooter Company Stella, which is a rebadged LML Star scooter, this was the basically a Vespa clone that was made from the same stampings and molds that the Vespa P series bikes were made from. But as years went on, emission standards changed, and the vintage two-stroke engines just couldn't be made road legal anymore. So in order to keep this line going, they decided to change to four-stroke engines, which sounds like a good idea. Get with the times, get a
Yeah.
clean, modern four-stroke engine in a vintage frame, and kind of try to bridge that gap. It's a good idea. I think it had a lot of potential, and it could have been a good success. But it just didn't. It kind of fell in between the cracks, really, because the vintage scooter crowd wasn't interested at all in a modern four-stroke engine. So vintage people didn't buy it.
So again, a perfectly good vehicle, just not socially accepted.
Well, yes, partially, but it also was only 150cc, which means that in this particular bike, it was good for maybe 55 miles an hour. So it really didn't have the performance that was appealing to a lot of people. So it just didn't sell very well in general. Plus, because it was a vintage design, essentially, the whole bike was, it does require regular maintenance, and the general public just didn't want to fiddle with bikes, that much anymore. They wanted something that they could just hop on and ride and be easy and low maintenance. And the Stella just was not quite that. So it didn't have the success that it could have, I think. If they had introduced it with a 200cc engine, which was available in Europe, and if they could have gotten that road legal in the U.S., I think it could have had a better success, because a 200 would have had a lot more power to be able to be more usable here in the U.S., where we have to have we have faster roads, longer distances. It would have been a more capable bike, and I think it could have had better success. But unfortunately, they made the decision to only bring the 150 in, and after about 4 years, they just folded that model. And which brings us to the next flop, which was the Stella 125 four-stroke automatic that came after it. And for similar reasons, it did not appeal to the vintage scooterists. In fact, it appealed even less to vintage scooterists, because you couldn't even shift it anymore. And it was a 125, so it was even less powerful than the 150. So it was a flop, and after a few more years, that was the end of the Stella line. So those are a few scooters that flop, but there is one more I do want to mention.
Is this the one that's been made famous by our friends at Cleveland Moto?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
This is an actual Vespa that is probably the biggest flop that they have had in decades.
Do you all know what this is?
No.
John, do you know what this is?
No.
All right.
Okay. This is the 2022 to 2023 Vespa Sprint 50 and 150 Justin Bieber X edition.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Phil had one
Liza,
of
you
those,
must
didn't you?
have one of these in here
I think
somewhere.
Phil had one. I think.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Mm.
He may still have it, as far as
I was like, you didn't buy that?
They're still available.
Yeah.
This is a model that's been done for 3 years now. There's still dealers that have them, that you can buy them brand new. They may not have the badges on them anymore, but the first problem with this bike is that the crossover between the Belieber crowd and the scooter world, very, very small.
It's very small.
So they're cutting out a whole big market segment right there. And frankly, I think this bike would appeal more to people who are kicks collectors, who big into sneakers and like their sneakers absolutely pristine. They might be able to they might be interested in this bike might actually appeal to them, because it is an all white bike.
Yeah.
And by all white, I mean the grips.
Hand grips are white.
The
The floorboards are white.
The rubber strips in the floorboard are white that you put your dirty feet on that while you're riding. So it is this is a bike that will be absolutely impossible to keep clean.
Yeah.
So there's no way to use this bike. You'd have to just buy it and put it on display.
But here's the thing. The model was the same as other Vespa models. There was nothing different. It was a perfectly good, capable Vespa model.
Right. It's the exact same model as the regular Vespa Sprint. The only difference is that it has sparkly flame decals on it.
Ooh, you like
Sparkly
that?
Just for X signature on it or something like this decal. And frankly, I think those are, I mean, the flames, maybe somebody be okay with that. But with the Justin Bieber signature on that, like that, I think is a distraction in interest of actually wanting to purchase that bike for the vast majority of the public. So, in fact, a lot of dealerships took to removing those decals and just selling it as a white Vespa. And some of them were even had the seat and grips and floor rails replaced because those are just such impractical items to have on a bike that you just want to ride.
Yeah.
So that bike has been a huge flop for a huge brand.
But will that end up being a collector's item, though?
No.
Well,
I can see it.
someday it could be, and I'm sure there are people who have bought
Is
them
there a
and
Spice
squirreled them
Girls?
away, in the crate.
No, but like Rob
think it'll
Talbot had a Vespa in his collection that was designer. Which one was it? It had the symbols.
Oh.
Gucci? Was it Gucci?
Yeah,
No.
it could be Gucci. There was Gucci and Coach, I think.
Or
maybe?
Versace.
I think it
Might
was
be
a
Versace.
It was a
Maybe it was
Versace.
It was Versace.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I thought it
forget.
was ugly as sin.
But the point is,
Yeah.
the lesson to be learned is exactly the same lesson that Suzuki learned the hard way. If you market to a limited audience, whether it's based on gender, whether it's based on affinity to a pop star, whether it's based on music, it's very nice to have that association, but you're basically alienating a lot of people. And the Vespa
Right.
is a perfect example. Once you distill down people who are Justin Bieber fans, who are scooter fans, you're marketing to a very, very small amount of people.
Your Venn diagram is basically two separate circles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Not a good overlap.
lessons to be learned. I mean, if I was to design a motorbike, it would appeal to everyone, and I'd make sure it did.
Emma,
It's like Honda.
I think we're going to do a little, talking about retro, we're going to do a little game, a retro game, in fact.
Oh no!
You
is
need
it
to
gonna
bring
be
out your
me?
phone.
Is it going to be me versus the world again?
No. For many years early on, we used to play the Craigslist Porn Pick Challenge.
Yes.
It's now just turned into the used bike
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I
challenge.
know I've got a few of these.
So, I don't know if, did you submit one, Jim?
I didn't.
I don't know if Bagel did, but John and I, John, in fact, you had 2 submissions, right?
Nah, the other one was bogus.
The free one?
Yeah. He was looking for people to ride with him.
Oh,
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to bounce out
Okay.
right now. I got things to do. Anyway, peace, love, and soul.
see ya.
See you.
So Emma, John and I have each picked a SV or Gladius that we're presenting to you, and to see which one is the best deal.
Well, let's deal with Liza's first, shall we? So, Liza's comes from Tucson, Arizona.
I think that's Tucson.
It's Tucson, Arizona. And it is... oh, my God.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
I'm appealing to you specifically.
Okay, here we go. Be the fastest on your morning commute. Originally rebuilt as a track bike, sat for the last 18 months, carbs cleaned, new battery, new tires, and lights to make it legal. Have other projects ready to pass on $1,500.
So I wanted to say, since this is mine, I get to pitch a little bit.
Yeah.
As we said, a lot of these bikes did end up going on the track, which means it should have some nice upgrades. Oftentimes suspension and performance upgrades. So this is a bike that you could still put on the track today. But it's street legal. But the third picture is why I thought you would like this bike, Emma.
Yeah.
And for the whopping price of $1,500.
It's got a custom paint job.
It does.
Somebody has painted a poo on the gas tank with flies buzzing around it, and the bike is called Scrapyard Scat.
Yes.
There's a lot to it.
I think that was from their race team.
Yes, I'm sure it was. There's a lot to like about this bike. No mention of how many miles it's done, or indeed if it even has a speedo. I think I can see some instruments tucked away in
New
there.
battery, new tires.
Yeah, I mean, you know he hasn't spent much on tyres. I guarantee you it's not got the greatest tyres on. I think for $1,500, it represents great value. You're not going to go quicker for much less.
Do you think the pile of scat painted on the tank improves its chances of selling?
Potentially.
I thought it was funny.
I think there is a small flaw. I don't think this bike has lights.
It says it's street legal.
Yeah, it might be daytime use street legal.
No, and lights to make legal.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Now then.
Okay, so $1,500 for a Gen 1 SV650. And John found...
So John's is from... Let's have a look. It is Facebook Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Berkeley, so it's a local bike. So what we have here is a Gladius.
Of course.
11,000 miles, recent oil change and filter at 10,000, K&N washable filter, air filter, dot pool brake fluid and steel brake lines, GV top case, RNG tail tidy, RNG frame sliders, Puig windshield, Delcovic carbon slip-on, portable tire pump, battery leads, blah, 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 blah. First bike. Let's have a look. So he's actually moving up to a touring bike. This is a black machine. It is...
And I have to say, and I wanted to get, John, on that all black, how do you think that compares to the colored ones? Because
I tend to like the colored ones.
Because you weren't liking the aesthetics on the Gladius, but how do you like it in all black?
Let me see it again.
Yeah, there's a side view. I think it's a nicely proportioned
I think
bike.
it's kind of better in black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's taken the cladding off.
That headlight, though, still kills me.
Yeah, the multi-headlight. It is quite odd, isn't it?
I mean, I think it looks fine.
He changed the exhaust also.
Yeah, and it's but you know, I don't dislike the original Gladius exhaust. Anyway, this is a little more money. $3,500.
Yeah.
So my choice, what would I do?
A $1,500 Gen 1 that's been on a track that has a pile of scat painted on the tank. Or a 2013 low mileage Gladius for the price of $3,500.
You know what? I think I'd do the Gen 1.
Ooh.
Would you really?
I think so. I think it's worth the risk.
In your face, John. I won.
It's going to be
Whatever.
a pile of poop. But it's all, knowing how fun those Gen 1s are to ride, I think it's going to be a pile of poop you can have a load of fun on. So in this case, I will go for the Gen 1. But you know what? What a noble effort, John.
I know.
I like that Gladius.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Except for the headlight.
Well, I think, yeah, as the Gladius goes, that all black, it looks nice. And it looks like a great commuter bike. $3,500. I'm surprised, though. I'm surprised at the price. I was looking around for the Gladius bikes, too. I didn't find a lot for sale.
There aren't a lot out there.
I thought it would have been like the Corvair.
Yeah.
I had a Corvair. The Corvair, to this day, is still a cheaper car than similar cars because of that stigma from the 60s.
Well, yeah, but there is a difference, as it is with the Pinto and the exploding gas tanks. If there is a flaw that supposedly makes a car very, very unsafe, or a motorcycle for that matter, it really does affect the value. I think everybody can really concede that the Gladius is a good bike. It is not a bad bike. And that's what makes this such a tragedy. It's a genuinely likable, good bike that was just marketed poorly with some questionable design choices and a weird name.
Yeah, and some of the colors were kind of weird.
Well, we'll put that to questionable styling choices.
Yeah.
It's a classic, the man named Sue.
Right, the boy named Sue. So, there you go, the Gladius. Would you recommend, so you'd recommend somebody buy a Gladius?
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
I would recommend,
great bike.
if you are a shorter rider, regardless of gender. This is a lightweight, smaller, nimble bike. And it could be a great bike for a shorter rider.
And I'm going to give everyone a Misfits top tip.
Oh,
what is that?
Get out your pencils.
If you buy a Gladius, make sure that you tone your culottes with the color of your bike.
Oh, my.
Never ride with off-color culottes.
Well, no, I mean, it's simply not done, John. If you've got a magenta bike and you wear your lime green culottes, you're going to clash terribly, and you'll get pulled over by the fashion police, and they'll speak to you roughly.
Stick with neutral colors would be my thing.
Yes.
I just wanted to cover something real quick. We're not going to go too deep into this, but just an observation. I've been upgrading a lot of my gear and the bike and getting ready for this trip. Because to be able to do these kind of miles, you need to be very comfortable.
Right.
In fact, shout out to Climb. They're sponsoring us and have been sending me a full outfit, which is really nice. But one of the things I was looking at is new boots. So if you didn't know, I've been wearing these Icon boots called Joker boots for years. I got them years ago from Icon when we went up there and they gave us a bunch of free gear, and I loved them. I loved them because they zip down the back and have a giant tongue that just folds out and makes it so easy to slide in. A lot of motorcycle boots, you have to wiggle your feet in. And I like these. I liked them so much. In fact, I bought a second pair and kept them in the box because they discontinued them. And so I pulled them out a few weeks ago to I needed to start breaking them in. I'll use them for this trip because the first pair, I've had to replace a zipper. I've got shoe goo on the bottom because I've worn through the soles. I mean, I've killed them. And the second pair are too small.
Oh,
What?
I know. It's the same boot, the same size, but it feels like they're an entire size smaller. I tried to wear them one day and my toes were just getting completely cramped.
Ooh.
So I was like, ooh, this isn't good. This was my plan. I got to get another pair of boots. So for so many years, my casual boots, and I'm not talking about dirt or the ADV boots. I have the big bulky boots for that stuff, but the more casual boots that are a little bit lighter, but still give you the ankle protection and everything, I found that they're kind of gone. They don't exist anymore. And they've been replaced with boots like what I'm holding up here that I bought recently.
What? Now that's what I'd call a paddock
it's more of a
boot.
sneaker. Yeah, a sneaker boot.
Yeah, so the boots that came up partway up your shin, but weren't too heavy or bulky, that usually had the Velcro strapped, on the side or something. I went to Cycle Gear. They just don't exist. But what you have are these boots that look like a high top sneaker. But they're motorcycle shoes in that they have a very rigid sole. They don't bend very well. So you can put your weight on the pegs and it doesn't come up through your arch. They're reinforced where you shift, and they've got some ankle extra padding in the ankles, but they just look like lace-up sneakers. And I thought, this is interesting. Like, gone are the waterproof, like you wear those kind of boots, the black boots. I couldn't find them anywhere. And even when I was looking on the Climb site, Climb boots, you either get like adventure style big heavy boots with the what do you call the latch system on the side,
Yeah.
or they look like hiking boots. And I found this interesting, this trend, that this is like I just find it kind of weird. Have you noticed this?
Have you looked at the Style Martins?
No, but those are stylish.
Oh, you want them to be ugly?
No.
No, I mean, Liza enjoys ugly footwear. Let's make no mistake. Can I see these?
I mean, look at those right there.
No. Those are stylish.
Let
boots.
me see these.
I want something that's comfortable.
Oh, I say those are rather stylish, aren't they?
Yeah, I have a pair.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. I am on the Climb site, and they're sending me a pair of some of their boots. Here we go, footwear. So we've got either the ADV style, or we've got what looks like a hiking boot.
Right.
And when I scroll down,
And neither of those.
there's more that look like hiking boots that are similar to what I just held up. And here's more that look like hiking boots. They actually look like Timberland.
Well, what are you looking
Brown
for? What kind
leather.
of look?
No, I just found it interesting that daily, like what I call like commuter type of boots are gone. They don't exist. They've been replaced with these lower boots.
Which I do not like those because they don't give me ankle support.
Right.
Because they're
What
too
about those
short.
TCXs?
No, I'm not. I'm okay with what I have. I actually am getting used to these. I like them. But here's my question. I'm wondering, why have those boots gone? I'm wondering if there were studies and realized it wasn't necessary to have that shin protection.
I think it's the market. People buy them or they don't, and they just build the things that people buy.
But instead, you get these kind of hiking boot style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I found it interesting that both at Cycle Gear, they didn't have any of those. It was either the very specific motocross or ADV big bulky boots, or down to these kind of small hiking boot styles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious what people are seeing out there, because it used to be mostly those kind of, even Built had those kind of boots. Oh, I take it back, Emma. They did have some that are more traditional, but they're lower also. They're not as tall as they used to be.
Gotcha. And I mean,
Interesting.
I'm very fond of a calf length boot, and
Yeah.
they are harder to get.
So I'm just putting it out there. Like, it's an observation. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, you can certainly shop around and find, but there's just not that many options.
Icon's got those too.
Well, those are also hiking boot, like a hiking boot, low. Isn't that interesting? Let's get to some emails. Emma, I would like to start with yours because yours is the heaviest. And then we'll bring it up from there.
Okay, let's have a look. This is from Stacy Tim.
Hey, Stacy.
Hi, Misfits. It's been a while since I emailed you and wanted to give you a few updates. As you recall, our son Jason was killed by a drunk driver last July. The driver that killed him is now serving a 10-year and 10-month sentence in prison. This won't bring our son back, but hopefully the young man will benefit from this and make some positive changes in his life. I don't seek vengeance, but the greatest gift he could give me is to change his life for the better and help others as our son did. On a more positive note, the Moto Guzzi 850T lives. I rebuilt that engine and it runs like a top.
Oh, nice.
I've even fixed the various paint chips that the tank had accumulated over the years. We had the Idaho Vintage Motorcycle Show recently, and while it was very difficult emotionally for me, Took the 850T on the group ride and entered it in the show. It didn't win anything this year, but it was good to reconnect with some fellow riders that I hadn't seen in a while. I'll be taking it to Missoula to ride in the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride in May
Cool.
and riding in honor of Jason.
Yay.
He rode this particular bike in this event a number of times. I'm hoping to do more riding this year, especially with the Moto Guzzi group. I have a lot of catching up to do. Between dealing with the tragedy of Jason's death and 5 different surgeries, I'm hoping to start rebuilding my riding life again. Many days, the only time life makes sense is on a motorcycle. By the way, on one of your recent shows, you briefly mentioned the Honda XR150L.
Mhm.
I bought one of these bikes a year ago, and I can attest to its overall fun factor. It reminds me of what it was like when I started riding about 55 years ago on a 1969 Kawasaki 120 Enduro. Attached is a picture of one I found on the web. I don't remember the muzzle designation, but have great memories riding it around northwest Montana. Take care, Misfits. If I'm able to emotionally, I'm hoping to see you at the one show in Portland this year.
Yeah.
Blessings from Stacy Tim. Yeah, look. Wow. He's enclosed a picture of the Moto Guzzi, and very, very handsome looking bike it is too. And the little high pipe Kawasaki.
Yeah, but it's no Gladius.
It is no Gladius. But, you know, there's no route map for dealing with a loss like that.
Yeah.
What it sounds like is Stacy's doing absolutely all the right things.
I would think that it's one way to be close again to Jason is to ride his bike
Right.
and think about him as you're riding.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's really cool.
And, you know, what a mature perspective for the young man who ended up in a prison. It's a tragedy for a number of reasons. It's a tragedy for Jason. It's a tragedy for his family. But it's a tragedy for the young man, and he clearly is a young man, who decided to get drunk.
Yeah.
Because he's lost a huge part of his life as well because of poor decisions he made. And hoping he can straighten out and make some decent life choices. You know, I always think it's the most idiotic reason to end up in prison.
Yeah.
You know, you rob a bank. Okay. You murder somebody. Okay. You do some heinous crime. You end up in prison. But to go to prison basically for drinking too much and killing somebody, that is a stupid life choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah. And so preventable, so avoidable.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Especially in the days of Uber.
Yeah.
Just take an Uber home.
Get an Uber.
All right.
All righty. Well,
right.
no, thanks for the update, Stacey. You're always in our thoughts. And once again, we will be holding the Jason Awards a little later in the year. So that's going to be a summertime competition for us.
Cool. All right. I have one. This one is from, well, it says it in here. It says, Dear Misfits, as always, thank you for your podcast. This is Spike on a Bike in Nashville, your friend and Patreon supporter.
Spike.
The last time I wrote to you, it was about riding cautiously in traffic by considering all cars as crocodiles instead of assuming they contain alert thinking people, which they don't.
Gator's got your granny. Chomp.
I have a new safety idea to share given to me by a riding buddy. I call it Sean's Law. I mentioned previously that I am a transplant to East Tennessee. Throughout my upbringing in Detroit, I was a devoted student of the holy trinity of cars, guitars, and girls. Here in East Tennessee, the motorheads also worship roads, and as you may know, we have some magnificent routes. For example, we have the Tail of the Dragon, which is crazy, the Devil's Triangle, which is psychotic, and the Cherahala, Cherahala Skyway, which is indescribably beautiful. But the roads are difficult to memorize and full of surprises. Some bends can be hard to read as you close in on them. My riding buddy Sean has come up with a great approach to unfamiliar turns. I like this one. He says, Sean's Law, let the road signs suggest the gear. The first digit is the suggestion. If the signage indicates 35 miles per hour, you'll probably be fine if you enter in third gear. If it says 25 miles per hour, get down a second gear. This simple approach has often saved me from overlooking blind corners. What do you think of that?
I think that's splendid.
I think it's not bad. My general rule is when you're on a motorcycle, add 20 to the sign.
What I tend to do is I'll double it, add 10, and then that's about where I should be. You know, what happens when you shift down a gear? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happens when you shift down a gear. Your bike becomes a lot more responsive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, say, in fourth or fifth gear and you shut the throttle, there's going to be a delay because you're a lower part of the rev range. The bike's going to take a little while to start with the engine braking and the deceleration. Conversely, when you wind the throttle on, because you're in a higher gear, you're going to get that little bit of sluggishness. If you're in a lower gear, you shut down, and instead of 2,000 RPM, you say at 5 or 6, you'll get that engine braking instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. And conversely, when you ride the throttle on, you'll get the acceleration instantly. So if in doubt, shift down. If in doubt, shift down.
Yeah, what we used to always say is you want to be in the gear at the exit of the turn where you're hitting the power band.
Right.
So whatever that is, that's where you want to go in.
Yeah, but for him, it's going into the turn. I think this is great. Take that first number as a suggestion of the gear.
Right. No, I think, that makes
try it out.
Shown. Have we been shown by Sean?
Johnny, you got one there?
All right, this is
Johnny.
from Joel.
Light me, Johnny.
Hey, Joel.
I too like brown seats, but it doesn't work with every color bike. If my plans go as designed, you'll see it in person later this summer. I'm planning a trip out west from Central Illinois to visit the garage.
Cool.
Will be my second visit. And given the miles, I'll probably ship a service kit out ahead of the trip and need to service all 3 holes. Do whatever innuendo jokes you need to do with that information. Emma's happy to service your holes.
I'm happy to tinker with anyone's holes.
With regard to a passenger getting on or off, my wife is vertically challenged. We found out for us it's easier for her to get on as Liza described. I'm on, she's verified, I'm ready, uses me for stability and climbs on. To dismount, I find it easier to put down the kickstand and exit the bike first, and then she gets off.
Uh-huh.
When riding, I tell her to stay with the bike. I'll do any leaning and shifting, etc. She will not ride with me without the sissy bar. She just is not comfortable, and she won't even think about climbing on my Pan America. Much of the riding up over the years has boiled down to passenger comfort.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was something I forgot to mention. That when dismounting a passenger, I always put the kickstand down just as a safety, in case I've had it happen where they're getting off and they kind of snag their foot and they start to kind of fall to the outside and pull you.
Yep.
So yeah, good call on that one. All right, we got time for one more. Bagel, what you got?
Yeah. I have an email here from Mike D from SC.
Mike D.
Subject: the bike's more busted than I thought.
Oh, no.
Hi, Misfits. So I bought a bike that doesn't run.
Oh.
It needs the usual stuff: fluids, fork seals, dump the old fuel, replace the battery, tires, etc. But it looked like a great deal for a 2000 Victory V92 at $1,000.
Whoa.
When I went to look at it, the battery was dead, but we got it charged enough to confirm the computer boots and hear the starter try to turn the engine over. Since the battery tested bad, I changed that first and discovered my first gremlin. With the key in the off position, the fuel pump was activating and the gauges lit up.
Ooh, what's causing that, Emma?
Oh, it's
Do-
a
do I-
dead short somewhere.
Do I chase the electrical problem first,
Yes.
which I'm terrible with, or get the fuel cleaned up to try and fire it up before bothering?
No.
Thanks, Mike D from SC. P.S. This means I officially have a stable with more broken down bikes than running. 33% success with the Chinese electric scooter holding down the fort. I broke a CX 500 bad.
Oh.
Real bad.
Can I take this one, Emma? I think this is very simple. You don't change the gas because when it's an electrical gremlin like this, you tend to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in changing out, cleaning the gas, and doing all that because you might walk away for a year.
Yep.
So you need to get that done. Emma, any suggestions of where you should look?
You
do
know,
you think it could be a bad ignition?
it may be. I hate to say this. I'm tempted to get it running, even with the electrical problem, because you can cure that electrical problem temporarily by just disconnecting the battery. So it's not going to drain it. I'd get a spark and actually get it, because listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend hours and cost fixing an electrical problem and you find you're missing second gear or missing third gear, or the engine sounds bad or the clutch is bad, no point.
Yeah.
So truthfully, use the battery itself as a switch. When you don't want to run the bike, take the ground strap off. Get some fresh fuel in it, clean out the fuel system, get it running, and even if it's terrible, ride it down the road. Confirm you have all 5 forward gears and a clutch and an engine. Once you do that, now you can start chucking money at the electrics.
This is why she makes the big bucks.
Exactly.
Now, as far as the electrical gremlin goes, could that be something as simple as the ground strap?
I mean, it may. It's clearly backing up through something.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe a stuck relay for the fuel injection system?
It may be a stuck relay. I have a suspicion it may be something like a reg rec. Because the reg rec is connected to both. If I remember right, on a Victory, it's connected to, there's a hot side and a cold side. And if it goes bad inside and one of the diodes fail, the hot side will be connected to the cold side and you'll get power through the engine. So, but I mean, basically get the bike running. Get it so you can ride it. Even if the tires are bad, just ride it and make sure it's worth pursuing.
Didn't he say it was not just the fuel pump? Was it the gauges?
Yeah, the gauges are up.
So
as well.
that would not be that relay. That's something coming from the ignition, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean,
gauges.
It's backing up in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know. But my advice still stays the same. You've got to get that bike to where you can actually ride it and confirm it's good. You know, I've been monkeying around with the Packard.
Mm-hmm.
And my big frustration with that car, because the engine didn't run when I got it, I had no idea what the rest of the car was like. I had no idea if it had a clutch, if it had any forward gears, if the back axle. As it happens, it drives beautifully. But until I was in a position that I could drive it and confirm that, I wasn't going to spend a penny on it. So I had to get it running well enough that I could test everything else. And the same applies to you, Mike D. You've got to get a spark. You've got to get the fuel system to where you can actually ride that bike and confirm you've got forward motion and a bike that's actually worth fixing. Because believe me, if you spend $500, another $1,000 getting the electrics and the fuel system sorted out, and then you find you're missing second gear, you're going to be pissed.
You're right. Now, if I go back to my system of bringing a bike back from the dead, first get it running, second get it rideable, then get it safe, and then get it sellable. Those are the 4 tiers: running, rideable, safe, sellable. So yeah, good point. Well, thank you everyone for sending in your emails. We want to hear from you. You can reach us at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. Emma, do you think there's any chance any of our listeners owned a Gladius? Do you think we can get somebody to say, I owned a Gladius?
I sincerely hope so, because if you did, just write in and tell us what you thought of it.
Exactly. I want to hear from you. Let us know what you think. Or if you thought, that's a girl bike, I'll never own one. I want to hear from you too. I want to hear your opinion on the Gladius. So send us an email, motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. And go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com. You'll find the link to everything there. We had another new Patreon subscriber. I'm going to send him out a coupon code to order a free t-shirt. So you can find our links there. Become a Patreon subscriber. We appreciate you so much. And to all of our listeners, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys ready to get out of here?
I think so.
Thanks, everyone. This is Liza.
Stumpy John.
Emma, darling.
Bagel.
And we are out of here.
Cool.
Cool.